He always swam alone. I've debated posting this for a long time, because it's not my story. Not really. But now that the guy's name is coming back up in local news again, probably because of that podcast, I feel I need to get it off my chest. I worked at the city pool the summer this all happened, and if anyone's still wondering whether that went down was just an unfortunate accident, let me tell you, it wasn't. Not even close. This was in 2012, back when I was 19 and working as a lifeguard. It wasn't a fancy place, just a big rectangle of turquoise water, chain link fencing, and a concession stand that sold rock-hard pretzels and flat soda. Most of our job was yelling at kids to stop running or breaking up chicken fights. But that summer, we had him. We just called him Mark, though we didn't know if that was his real name. Mid-40s, buzz cut, lean in a wiry, ex-military kind of way. Always wore black swimming trunks. He showed up every single day the pool was open, usually around 4 p.m., swam 20 laps without stopping, then sat by the deep end with his back to the rest of the pool for another half hour before leaving without saying a word to anyone. What made it weird wasn't just the routine, it was how he did it. No phone, no towel, no bag. Just walked in with cash, paid the entry fee, swam like a machine, then left. He didn't even dry off, just slipped on his sandals and walked right out, dripping wet. Every single time. We used to joke that he was an assassin, or a cultist, or something. You know how bored teenagers are. My buddy Caleb nicknamed him the Fish because he's cold, wet, and probably has dead eyes. But jokes aside, the guy gave us all the creeps. There's something about him that felt practiced, like he was rehearsing something. And no one ever saw him talk to anyone, not even to say hi. Then one afternoon in July, a girl went missing. She was 8 years old. Came to the pool with her older brother, who was too busy flirting with some girl near the diving board to notice that she hadn't come back from the bathroom. At first we thought she'd wandered off, maybe walked home. But when her mom came storming in 20 minutes later, demanding to know where her daughter was, everything froze. We shut down the pool. The cops showed up. Everyone had to empty their bags and stick around for questioning. It turned into a full-on missing persons case within hours. And Mark? Nowhere. He'd been there that day, swam his laps like always, but he left before the lockdown started. Here's where it gets messed up. A few days later, the pool reopened, because apparently that's what you do when a child disappears on site. Management gave us a stay vigilant talk and handed out laminated safety protocols. Julie's photo was taped at the snack bar like she was a lost puppy. Mark came back, just like nothing had happened. He even gave the same amount in cash, exact change. Didn't say a word when the cashier tried to stall him with small talk. Just swam his laps, sat in his corner, and left. But now, seemed like he wasn't alone. I swear to God, that was a moment I knew something was wrong. Because when he sat down at the end of his routine, he had this look, like he was listening to someone, watching something just outside our view. His lips moved a little, like he was whispering, and the hairs on my arm stood up straight. 2 days later, another kid went missing. This time a boy named Andrew, 10 years old. Same thing. Bathroom trip. Didn't come back. Parents started screaming. We locked down. This time, Mark hadn't left yet. But he wasn't there either. Security footage caught him exiting through the emergency gate by the pump house. A gate that doesn't open from the inside. Someone had let him out. That's when things really got strange. The police started watching him. I know because one of the detectives, a guy named Landers, came by the pool asking questions. He didn't hide the fact that they suspected Mark in both disappearances, but they didn't have enough to detain him. No physical evidence, no bodies. Eventually, they stopped seeing him at the pool. Just like that, he vanished. Until last summer, when I got a message from Caleb. It was a link to a news article. Human remains discovered near abandoned community pool. The pool had closed during the pandemic and never reopened. Some hikers found a bricked-over crawl space behind the pump house. Inside were 2 small skeletons and what police described as personal effects belonging to multiple unidentified children. They reopened the case, released an age-progressed sketch of a person of interest, and I swear, if you look closely, you can still see the lines of the swim goggles pressed into the skin. Last I heard, Mark, or whoever he was, still hasn't been found. And I know how this sounds. I know how easily people can dismiss this as just another creepy guy at the pool story. But here's what still keeps me up at night. Sometimes I drive by the old pool on my way to work. It's all chained off and overgrown now. But a couple months ago, I stopped and got out, just for a second. Call it closure. And I heard it. Just the faintest splash. Like someone was breaking the surface of water that wasn't there anymore. And I swear, I smelled chlorine. The pool never closed. This is going to sound completely unhinged, but I need someone, anyone, to tell me they've seen something like this before. I haven't slept more than a few hours at night since it happened. I can't stop thinking about that water, what it showed me, what it took from me. This all started when I took a job as an overnight security guard for the recreation center last summer. I know, sounds cushy, right? A little too mall cop, maybe. But I needed the money. I just moved back to town after my divorce and was staying with my sister, trying to get my life in order. The job was supposed to be simple. Check that the doors are locked, walk the perimeter every hour, and most importantly, keep kids from breaking into the outdoor pool after hours. That pool had officially closed for the season in late August, but my first shift was on September 6th, a week after it was drained. Or so I was told. That first night, I remember walking out onto the back patio where the pool was. There were no overhead lights, just the moon and a flickering security lamp mounted to the snack shack. The pool should have been empty. My supervisor, Eric, made a point of telling me that during orientation. Except it wasn't. There was water in it. Still, dark and glassy. And it smelled like it was freshly chlorinated. I called Eric, thinking maybe someone had made a mistake. He just kind of sighed and said, "Yeah, that's not unusual." I asked him what that meant. He paused and said, "Just check it, log it, and don't get too close. I thought he was messing with me. You don't tell someone not to get too close to a pool unless you're trying to freak them out. But I swear, when I leaned over the edge to shine my flashlight into the deep end, I saw something move. It was fast, like a ripple, but vertical. Like something tall had just slipped out of my sight beneath the surface. I almost convinced myself it was a trick of the light, or a reflection. I wrote it down in the logbook and moved on. Second night, same thing. Water still there. No sign of tampering with the filters or the intake valves. I even double-checked the pump house. Locked up tight, like it had been for weeks. But that night, I swear I heard someone swimming. Not splashing, exactly. More like the steady sound of someone gliding through the water, slow and smooth. When I stepped outside, it stopped instantly. Nothing in the pool, no wet footprints, no sound. Just me and that water. By the fourth night, I wasn't sleeping during the day anymore. I couldn't. My dreams were weird. Dark water, open eyes staring up at me from beneath the surface. Hands that never broke through, just waved from underneath. And then came the sixth night. I was doing my rounds when I noticed something off. There were wet footprints leading away from the pool. Bare feet, small, like a child's. I followed them across the concrete, expecting them to stop at the gate or dry up in the grass. They didn't. They led all the way to the side door of the rec center, and stopped. No child on camera, no alarms. But I checked the footage anyway, and this is what made me nearly quit on the spot. At 3:14 a.m., the pool water shifted. Not from wind, not from something falling in, but as if something had climbed out. You could see the surface bulge upward, then settle, and about 5 seconds later, those wet prints just appeared on the ground, like something invisible had stepped out. I showed Eric the next morning. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. He told me, quietly, like he was ashamed, that this pool had a history. Back in the early 90s, a little boy had drowned during open swim. No one noticed he was missing until the whistle blew for adult swim. They just found him in the deep end, face up, eyes open. No splashing, no thrashing. Just still. And here's the part that stuck with me. The water was calm the entire time, like it was welcoming him. Eric said a few other staff members over the years had seen similar things. Ripples with no wind, kids' voices after midnight, shadows under the surface that never surfaced. Some thought the pool was haunted. Others chalked it up to chlorine fumes and lack of sleep. But here's where it gets worse. 2 nights after he told me the story, I was walking past the lifeguard chair when I heard a voice. A little kid's voice. Soft. Kind of echoey. It said,
"It's warm. You can come in now."
I froze. I hadn't even been near the pool yet. I turned slowly, and yeah, water, full, still, moonlight bouncing off the surface like a mirror. I walked to the edge, heart hammering, and shined my flashlight into the deep end. There were eyes, just beneath the water, wide open, glowing faintly white-blue, like light bouncing off of fish scales. And they were staring right at me. Then a hand reached up. Not fast, not lunging, just lifted out of the water like it was offering me something. It looked like a kid's hand, pale and shriveled, with 2 long fingers. I stepped back, nearly fell, and ran inside, locking the door behind me. I didn't leave that security office until dawn. When I checked the cameras the next day, there was no footage. The feed had glitched out between 2:57 and 4:21 a.m. Never had happened to me before. Never happened to me again. I quit that week. I drove by the rec center a few months ago. They started renovations. Talk of tearing the whole pool down and paving it over. But I don't think it'll matter. Because the last time I looked through the fence, there was still water in the pool. And I could swear, for just a second, I saw ripples and someone waving from underneath. I hope you all enjoyed the stories. If you enjoyed the stories and want to hear more, leave a like and subscribe, or comment on what topics you're interested in, or how you felt about it all. Goodbye, everyone. Stay safe out there.